All right, hello and welcome back to the Planet Film Network. And oh my god, what is this border that we are in? What are we trapped inside right now? It's Planet Hero. It's back. Episode 3. We take more time between sequels than the Star Wars trilogies with Planet Hero. Let's go ahead and jump right in. It's been a hot minute since we've done a Planet Hero episode. I would say we're officially calling this episode 3, but Donald and I did do a 20-minute trailer reaction to the WandaVision trailers and did kind of a speculation. So that was
That counts.
I'm kind of calling that episode 2.5. So we're having this one be episode 3. And it's time. We've been waiting this whole
The
time.
day's here.
18 months, TJ. 18 months between the release of Spider-Man Far From Home and the release of WandaVision. That is too much time between MCU properties. I'm much more rather, the days of Captain Marvel and Infinity War coming out 4 weeks apart.
And from this point on, it just kicks off. We're just like full blown here.
We're gonna get a Marvel Studios release every week, every single week of the year.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. Absolutely crazy. And my big theory, it'll all be out on Disney Plus. At this rate. Maybe once we get to like Eternals time, like months and months down the road, maybe it'll be theatrical only, but it's looking more and more likely that Black Widow is going to be both. Just save HBO Max motif there with the release type. Yeah, we both just yawned. It is very early in the morning because I have work tonight. So when you guys are seeing this, I am at work. But if you're watching this is, as you can see, it's kind of releasing as if it's live. We're going to make this a premiere event on YouTube. So there is still a live chat. So I'm assuming TJ is going to try to, and I will try to while I'm at work. I'm going to have my phone on me in my pocket so I can kind of check in, every couple minutes and monitor the live chat. So definitely you guys have a conversation amongst yourselves. Comment on the actual show. Speak in the live chat. But as always, we want to let you guys know to make sure that you are following us on Twitter and Instagram at Planet Film Pod. That's the best way to get updates on when shows are dropping and any also breaking news or anything like that in the entertainment world. So without further ado, TJ, do you want to go ahead and get into the reviews here?
Let's go.
Perfect. And as always with our review format, TJ is going to pull up the IMDb. There's obviously no box office for WandaVision because it's a Disney Plus original show, first television show for Marvel Studios. Obviously, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and stuff was Marvel TV, which is a different thing. But this is the first TV show produced by Kevin Feige. So let's go ahead and jump right in, TJ.
Okay, so starting off, actually, real quick, I think it's interesting before I read the IMDb that the episodes actually don't have like names. They're just like episode 1, I guess. I think that's kind of odd. I feel like this kind of meshes in with the entire oddness of the entire show. But so first episode 1, 27 minutes, rated PG, which we'll get into it. There are some jokes in here that I was like, I don't know if I'm watching this on Disney Plus or Hulu.
Yeah, exactly.
Episode aired on January 15th, 2021. And the description is Wanda and Vision struggle to conceal their powers during dinner with Vision's boss and his wife. Directed by Matt Shakman. Writers Jack Schaefer and Stanley, who created the characters, and Roy Thomas, who created Vision. Starring Elizabeth Olsen, Paul Bettany, Catherine Hahn, Fred Melamed, I believe it is, Deborah Jo Rupp, Asif Ali, David Lengel, Ithamar Enriquez, Victoria Blade, and Amos Click. I read all of them because there's really not that many people in the show, or in this episode. And that's about it for the IMDb.
Boom. Yeah, so let's go ahead and break it down. Let's go with you first on this one. So episode 1 of WandaVision. Now, for those who don't know, the show is well, how do you even describe it? It's something is happening. It's basically every week the show is modeled off of kind of a different era in like sitcoms
Yeah.
and television shows. But there's like an overarching mystery to it. So it's basically like if I Love Lucy was building to like a giant conspiracy or something. But it's somehow even freakier than what I just described.
Yeah. Are
So
we gonna?
yeah.
We're not having like a non-spoiler section, right? We could just like
No, this would
jump
be
in.
this
Okay.
would be all spoiler.
Okay.
If you're watching the review, you probably have watched the show. So it'll be all spoiler for
True.
the Planet Hero reviews. So yeah, I mean, basically episode 1 kicks off and we're basically in the, fake 50s era basically. So yeah, what are your thoughts on this first episode set within kind of the 50s landscape here?
Well, first watching it, I didn't expect it to. I think it would. What a lot of people thought is didn't expect to lean so much into the like sitcom genre of it. Like you thought almost like the sitcom thing would be like a backdrop.
Yeah.
But I actually did like that. I don't know why. I just thought it was kind of cool and kind of weird. And that's another thing about the whole show. I think it's not so much the first episode, even though there are some parts that are like very, very odd. The second episode almost gets like more weird, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good way to start off the show. One of the weird things that I just was like, this is bizarre, is when they're sitting at the table with his boss and his boss is choking and they're like just sitting there. And I'm like, this is really creepy.
It's a very creepy scene to kind of ratchet up the tension, I think. But I thought it was very interesting that when they're kind of when Wanda and Vision are kind of looking at each other and they're kind of like this, like they kind of like don't want to use their powers or something's going on. And then Wanda she's very much doing she's doing Wanda the character is doing her best kind of American housewife impression. But in that moment when she says Vision help him, you can tell that like that voice clicks off and like she's like back to being Scarlet Witch because she like very abruptly says Vision help him like she would in like another movie.
Like you can tell that there's like, I think it's more, I forget if it's more in the second episode, but there's like these breaks in what she's perceiving as real, I guess, that she's made up in her head. Well, I mean, we're assuming based on stories that people are assuming it's made up in her head, but we don't know that.
Yeah.
But that there's almost like this like break in something where something's happening and it's basically like kind of something that almost maybe you wouldn't expect, and like you could see the characters trying to process it.
Yeah.
Or especially her, and then she kind of like snaps.
Pun intended.
And yeah, basically it's like you've made up this perfect world in your head, and then when something doesn't go right, you're kind of thrown off.
Yeah.
And then it takes you a minute to like gather it back.
Especially with the last scene of the second episode. With the rewind.
No, exactly. Yeah. That's like another thing is when we're basically at the end of the episode when they're pulling out, because every episode ends basically like a sitcom show would end, where it's like credits and it's basically pulling away from a TV, and you see like all this stuff around, like just this TV set on a table, and there's somebody like trying to talk to Wanda, asking like what's going on, who's doing this, and it's kind of this like fainting voice.
I think people are going crazy online. I mean, like they always
Danielle,
do.
I don't know if Danielle told you who she thought it was.
Oh, who did she think it is?
She thought it was oh my god, I already forgot his name.
Jimmy Woo? Randall Park?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's who
Randall Park.
That's absolutely, especially in the second episode. That's absolutely who I think it is. It sounds just like him. I mean, it's definitely his voice.
What movie was he in?
Ant-Man
because
and the
I
Wasp.
don't remember. Okay.
Yeah, remember he was.
Those are my favorites,
Scott's,
so I have to.
Yeah, he was Scott's like FBI guy. And he
Gotcha.
was like,
Okay.
and Scott was like, well, why don't we go out and, get some dinner, just the two of us? And he was like, what? You really want to, you would really go out to dinner with me? All right. Okay.
Oh my
Like,
God.
he was like as friends? And he was like, yeah.
Yeah. The other thing that I thought was very interesting was the commercials that are
Yes.
kind of like split up the episode.
Now,
If
how
they're
many
like, I don't know, like a
now, how
minute
many
commercial,
times
but
have you watched the episodes?
just once.
I've watched them twice, and I
Yeah.
caught on the second viewing the toaster. For those who don't know, oh man, it's like this whole show. It's very weird because it's like you have Jimmy Woo, Randall Park's character, saying, "Who's doing this to you, Wanda?" But then you could tell that she is very much in control of a lot of this. But somebody clearly has. Well, I don't even know. It's like somebody could have put her in this situation, or she could have created it herself.
Yeah.
Maybe Jimmy Woo doesn't know it's Wanda doing it to herself. You know what I mean? So it's kind of up in the air with that. But you could. What I think is, I think all of this is her subconscious. Manifesting all this. I think it's going to be one of those things where it's like, these are the shows that her and her brother watched as a kid. So this is her idea of like a perfect life, you know what I mean, with her and Vision, so that like it's something she's created so that her and Vision can just live out their lives happily together.
Yeah. You'll
but,
see more too.
yeah.
As I said earlier, you'll see more in the second episode is that she does have the ability to right a wrong that she deems wrong.
Yeah, she can correct things like in the universe.
Where in the second episode, quickly, she just basically like rewinds time.
Yeah.
And, we're back to where we started before and everything was fine. What did you think of Catherine Hahn? Did you like her? Do you think she was like kind of... I like her character. I didn't think she's like... I think she was a little like over the top, I guess. But I guess that's just how...
supposed to be.
Yeah.
Because I think, they... before I forget, I just wanted to say about the toaster. I forgot that's what we were saying. On the second watch, I realized when they put the toast in, because the commercials are like... it's like for a Stark Industries toaster, and then when we get mainly to the second episode, we'll talk about that commercial because that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, I thought because I figured that the first episode commercial, I didn't see anything. I thought it was like, oh yeah, Stark. Like I didn't think it was like
when the toaster lowers, it goes like the repulsor. Like I caught that on the second watch. I was
that's
like,
funny.
I was like, that is so funny. And then again, though, with the commercials. They kind of get creepy because like they wait for the toast to pop just like 3 seconds too long.
You're like...
And kind of the host and the girl putting the toast down kind of just go, and then they kind of like snap out of it.
Yeah.
My big theory. We'll get back to Catherine Hahn in just a second. My theory is every single person that you're seeing are real people that Wanda has trapped in this reality.
Oh my God.
That's
crazy.
what I think. Well, because the thing is, it's like, it's unfortunate, but Wanda she is the most powerful Avenger, but in the comics and even in the movies with what happens in Civil War with the explosion, she messes up and does bad stuff that she doesn't really see as bad all the time. I mean, the whole No More Mutants thing in the comics, like she
which again, people are
evil.
assuming happens in the second one where they kind of cut that line. I don't know if you've seen that on Twitter.
What is it? No, I haven't seen
people I'll explain when we get to the second episode.
Okay. But yeah, Catherine Hahn.
Catherine Hahn.
She is amazing. I put her in everything. I think she was just the perfect choice for this. And I'm very, very excited. There's more kind of in the second episode that you kind of realize that maybe she knows what's going on more. Like, I think she is probably the answer to who's doing this to you, Wanda. Because, or at least she's working for, it's been heavily rumored that maybe like Mephisto or some sort of hell or devil character from the comics, whether it's Mephisto or somebody else, is kind of doing all of this to her, that maybe Wanda thinks that she's in a version of heaven, you know what I mean, with her and Vision being able to be this happy family, but it's really somebody's doing this to her and messing with everything to torture her kind of thing, you know what I mean? Kind
because
of like the
if
Good
you're
Place.
if you're thinking of like hell, like you want everything to seem fine and then it's not.
Yeah.
Basically,
Yeah, it's like The Good Place.
Yeah,
Literally, like that's like the show is like spoiler alert for The Good Place is that they were really in the bad place the whole time, but they made it look like The Good Place because that's the best way to torture people.
huh?
But yeah,
There was something else I was gonna say. Oh, and just like add on to like the bizarreness of the episode is when they're like, I just thought it was so weird that. So obviously they can't remember. They have this heart on. I think it's January 15th. Is that what it was?
January 23rd, I think.
23rd, and they're like, "What does the heart mean? Like, is it our like anniversary?" Blah blah. Turns out that they were supposed to have Vision's boss, whose name is like Hart, for dinner. So that's what that was. But they can't remember when they got married. They can't remember. There's something. What else can't they remember?
They can't remember
where they got married,
when they got married, where they got married, or where they're from, or why they moved here.
Yeah.
And it's very unclear if they remember anything about their actual lives.
Yeah. And just like, so they're having dinner with Vision's boss and his wife, and Vision's boss asks like, "Oh, where did you guys meet, or where did you get married?" And they're like, "Where did we get married, or when did we get married, or stuff like that." And he like goes off about them not answering that question.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what? What? Like, he was losing his mind. And I was like, that's when it starts to get, like, really just, like, off-putting. And the fact that they can't come up with anything either is weird to me.
Yeah.
That they're not just like, New York or something. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, it's like Vision says in this episode, like, he's incapable of forgetting. You know what I mean? Like, so, but it's like, but you don't remember all this stuff. So it's like you clearly eventually they're going to realize that things are wrong. Just like, and one of the big moments obviously is going to be when we get to the Halloween episode, whenever that might be, when Catherine Hahn tells him, you know, you're supposed to be dead. Yeah. You know, we see that in the trailer, and then Vision's kind of like, what? Like, what are you talking about? That's another reason that I think that maybe all these people are real people that are being controlled, is because in that trailer, when Vision taps on the side of Catherine Hahn's head and she kind of like comes out of a trance or something, you know what I mean? It's almost like whoever Catherine Hahn is being controlled through, the real person of whoever Catherine Hahn was on Earth comes out, and she's like, "Wait, no, I saw on the news you're supposed to be dead." You know what I mean? Like what? Where the hell am I? Like that kind of thing. I just think it's going to be very, very interesting to see.
I'm just like thinking to myself, like, if they're living in this whatever it is, maybe like these like other places don't exist. Like, we don't have a New York, we don't have a Oregon, we don't have, you know, these other countries. We just have this little neighborhood we live in.
We just have Westview.
So basically, that's what I can picture of them being like, well, it's because they don't exist. So obviously they wouldn't know. It's not like they asked them where they got married. So, like his boss, I did think it was funny when he's sitting at the desk and he's doing whatever he's doing, and he leans over to that guy next to him and goes, "So what do we do here?" Like, what?
Yeah, that was a funny thing.
I was like,
that's the other thing we should talk about too, is just the sitcom aspects of it. Like, just that little runner throughout the episode of Vision trying to figure out what he does at work.
Because he's really good at it. He's really fast. Like, he's just typing those numbers out.
His buddy, what's the guy's name? Norm, right? His friend at work. He's like
Norm, yeah.
He's like, yeah, Vision. Ever since you started working here, our productivity's up 300%. And Vision's like, but what do we produce? He's like, what do you mean, buddy? And it's like, answer me. And then he asks his boss later at dinner, and he's like, the boss is like, you know, if we printed things horizontally instead of vertically, we could print twice the paper and charge twice the amount. And he's like, what exactly do we charge people for? And
it's kind of like this what? ignorance is bliss almost idea, where it's like, you know, we do this stuff, but we don't know why we do it.
Yeah.
We just know that we make money.
Exactly. And I think it's maybe one of those things, too, that if all of these sitcom tropes, right, are what Wanda watched as a kid, and that's why she's manifesting all of them, maybe Vision is questioning everything because he didn't grow up watching this stuff. You know what I mean? He probably absorbed it when, because he's Jarvis, so he has all this information. But like maybe he's like, because like like on the Dick Van Dyke Show or whatever, or something like that. It's like the husband just he's at work and he's doing his job, and then he's like, all right, time to clock off, and it's like nobody ever asks, what the hell do they do there? He's always punching away on a typewriter or something, but what the hell are they actually doing? And it's like Vision's asking those questions maybe because Wanda is familiar with like, oh, it's just the husband doing his thing. But Vision's like, but why? What? Like, he doesn't understand, like, the sitcom stuff. And I think that's very interesting if that's the case of why he's questioning everything.
I saw that, I don't know if this is, you probably knew this, because it's on IMDb, so I don't know if I potentially spoiled myself this, or if it was already, like, rumored that Evan Peters, I guess, is supposed to be in this.
Yeah, that was rumored, like, a while ago.
Okay, because Danielle said
what role.
Wait, did she? I think Danielle said something about it, or maybe I just like saw it on IMDb.
It got hot on Twitter last night.
Yeah. Okay. Because I was like, oh, if he's in it, then I have to imagine I know why he's gonna be in it. But
I mean, I just think I don't even know. Originally, I was dead set that he would be playing Quicksilver, but now I'm like.
But why wouldn't you bring 50. Is it Aaron Taylor Johnson?
He said he's not coming back.
I don't know. Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Like I don't know if it was his choice or if Feige's main plan was, kind of like Ryan Reynolds coming back with Deadpool.
Bring in another
bringing in, Fox people that the audience has really responded to. You know what I mean? Like I'm sure if Hugh wanted to do it, Kevin Feige would make a way for Hugh Jackman to be able to play Wolverine again.
Oh yeah.
And Evan Peters was such a fan favorite character in all three of those movies. You know what I mean? It would just kind of make sense. But also Evan Peters is just a really good actor, so he could be playing Mephisto. Maybe he's the real, villain of the series, just playing just a completely different Marvel character, which is also possible. But I feel like if he was playing the secret big bad of the show, I feel like that would have gotten out some way. I feel like people would have known that.
I just like to say that I think Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen have some of the best chemistry in the entire MCU.
My god, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I just think honestly, one of my big worries going into the show was what is the show called? The show is called WandaVision. Both of them. I was very worried that the show would lean very heavily Wanda because, she's kind of,
she's still alive.
Well, yeah, no, exactly. It's like she's like the real person. It's like all the trailers are like, who's doing this to you, Wanda? What's going Wanda? What's going on? You know what I mean? It's like I was worried that Vision would kind of get put on the sidelines a little bit. After watching these first two episodes, absolutely not. It is absolutely the Paul Bettany, Elizabeth Olsen show. I mean, it is both of them 50-50. We're going to get to episode 2 in just a second, but drunk on big red gum Vision is something I never thought could happen or never thought would see. But that is some of the funniest stuff that I've ever seen in the MCU.
Okay. Do you want to move into episode 2?
Yeah, sure. I guess I would just end. Let's just give a quick rating.
Final thought.
Yeah, a quick final thought and quick rating for episode 1. I would say final thoughts. I think episode 1 was really short. Just kind of a nice. It kind of feels honestly funny that it goes off of the sitcom trope, but it feels like a pilot. You know what I mean? It feels like the first episode of a show. It's 20 minutes. It's all right. Husband has job. Woman can't cook. There's all this other Marvel stuff going on, obviously, but like that's the framework. And then it's just like the episode is just a simple thing of they're having dinner with his boss and his wife. And then the dinner ends and the episode's over. You know what I mean? Like it was just very simple episode 2, I think, gets a lot more complicated, and then Feige has already said that the episode lengths will get longer as it goes. Yeah. So I just think it's very, very interesting. I think it was a good, simple first episode to go out. I'm gonna go for episode 1. I'm gonna go a 4 out of 5 stars for episode 1.
I would agree with that. Just for the simple fact that I think the second episode is not far and away better than the first episode, but it's definitely better than the first episode. Did you think it was weird? I don't know if you watched this far because there's like 8 minutes of credits.
Oh yeah.
Did you find it odd that I've never seen them put the different languages credits at the end?
Oh yeah, they do.
Have they always done that?
On Disney Plus, at least. Yeah.
Oh, they do.
They do it on all streaming services. Yeah, like they do it on Mando and stuff too. It's just the difference is Mando doesn't have, the beautiful, animated, Marvel end credits, and then normal credits, and then the and then the what's it called? The multiple languages. It's like
that wasn't leading into a theory or anything. I was just like, I feel like I've never seen that.
Yeah, no, and Mando's just basically like, it's the artwork with the names of the cast, and then it goes into the language.
Gotcha.
So that's why Mando's like but even Mando has like 5-minute credits. Like it's long on there too. No post credit scenes or anything.
Yeah. So continuing on to episode 2, that aired same day, January 15th. 34 minutes. Another PG episode again. Alan Horn must not be watching these episodes, because if it was him, he'd say this is going on Hulu.
Yeah,
we're putting an R rating on it. In an effort to fit in, Wanda and Vision perform a magic act in their community talent show. Directed by, does Matt Shakman direct all the episodes?
I think so. Yeah, he's the showrunner. I don't. There might be a couple where he doesn't, but I think it's most.
Gotcha. Written by Gretchen Enders, and Jack Schaefer. Same cast mostly: Elizabeth Olsen, Paul Bettany, Catherine Hahn, Tiana Paris. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
okay.
Nailed it.
Deborah Jo Rupp, CFLE, Emma Ford, and that's like the main people.
Yeah.
So let's start off with you. What did you think about this episode?
I thought that this episode was very much so again, going with the, multiple decades, this show kind of jumps to the 60s formula of sitcoms. So we've left kind of the 50s traditional thing and more hip with the 60s now, with a nice nod to Bewitched as an animated intro. Which there are a ton of Easter eggs in the animated intro too.
That was cool. I like that.
Ton of characters that could show up or could just be references. Only time will tell. But I thought the second episode was very much. I thought it was a lot funnier than the first episode, and I thought it was I did think it was a little bit better of an episode than the first episode, only because there was a little bit more like meat on the bones, if that makes sense. Like it was a little bit longer, and I don't even just mean length. I just mean we're kind of past the whole like, do you get what's going on? You like now, you know what I mean? Now it's kind of just like, all right, we can kind of play with this more. The audience knows what's going on because they've watched episode 1. And then you also see in this episode, that TJ talked about earlier, there are a lot of cracks starting to show in what the hell is going on, especially with, the colored helicopter, and then later on with the blood, and then obviously what happens at the end of the episode is the biggest thing with the beekeeper, or whoever the hell that was.
That wasn't even the end of was it? Oh yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was like a minute or two before the end.
Okay.
But yeah, I thought it was a better episode than the first one, and it was just very, very funny. What do you think?
Basically going off what you said, I thought it was a better episode, very funny. Again with the jokes, I thought it was like there's I forget what it was. It's when he's Vision's in the library meeting with like the group of guys. I think it's like supposed to be like a neighborhood watch type thing. And he says something, and the guy thinks that he said something else, And because I think, oh my god, I'd have to look it up.
Oh yeah, he says the gum. He says I think it's purely for mastication,
Yeah,
which means chewing. But the
yeah.
other guy
But
goes,
he thought he said,
he said masturbation, and he goes, no,
yeah, that's
I don't do that.
exactly. And I was like, wow. I literally was like, this is really in the show. I'm surprised.
Yeah.
Again, it's not like, he didn't say it, so I guess it's like,
Yeah.
But I thought it was, like you said, I thought it was even more odd than the first episode. Again, starting to show like the different cracks and whatever is going on, especially with the helicopter, especially with the beekeeper, and just basically going off what I said earlier when you said that no more people are theorizing that when the beekeeper like comes out of the sewer or whatever, and she says no, that's just cutting off that line. So I was like, that's kind of a stretch. People were posting like the comic strip, and we're like, oh, it says no more mutants here, but here she just says no.
I think she was just saying no, like,
you can't take this from me.
Happening. Yeah. No, exactly. Yeah. Like this is not happening, and it literally like she reverses time, but it's not like Doctor Strange reversing time. It's like literally the VHS thing goes.
Yeah, rewinding.
Yeah, exactly like a VHS used to. Well, it still does, but people just don't use it.
Yeah, I think probably one of the unsung funniest moments of this episode is him Vision eating the gum, and it just basically sticks up all his gears.
Oh my
god!
And
the animation of him eating the gum, and it just like gets all around the gears, and it's like they can't move. And
I love how the animation too is like old school animation, where it's like the gum doesn't go like, it goes. Like just that little separate like detail with the gum. It's like they clearly just had a little animated or a little cartoon gum thing, and just somebody went like this and then turned it and then like dropped it instead of a nice like pretty curve. Like they're definitely sticking to the, it's like they're making it with the technology of the time period it's set in.
You can tell that they didn't really pull any punch. Like they definitely did their research on what was a thing. Like I wonder how many like episodes of like just sitcoms from the like every decade, I guess they watched to be like, okay, this is how they did this, that. Especially like in the beginning when they're sleeping in the twin beds.
Oh yeah,
I thought was funny.
Well, that was a huge thing. It was like pushing the beds together on a number of shows. That was a huge thing. Yeah. It was like, oh my gosh, like, and like, but it's funny because it's kind of crazy. Like you said, that the show is rated PG. But like the beginning of the show, like he like jumps on her in bed, and they're like, "Let's get going."
And they go into the covers. I was like,
and then she hits knocks out the lights. Yeah. Like that is like super adult, but it's like they're almost like toying with the MPAA, because they're like, well, it wouldn't even be the MPAA; it would just be the FCC because it's not a movie, which is crazy to think about, but it's like they're toying with their rules, because it's like this is rated PG, but they're directly referencing, sex and all this stuff in this show. But it's like, because that's what they used to do on those shows. Like they would have scenes like that where it would be like, all right, you know what I mean? But it's like, it's almost, it's weird, because it's like now in our modern times, you'd be like, oh, you can't show that on TV. But it's like back then it was like, yeah, you can. You know what I mean? Like you're not gonna get, but like you wouldn't swear on TV. Like you could reference them, going to bed together, but like you wouldn't swear on TV. Now you could swear all you want, but like you wouldn't like show, that. It's like kind of weird how times have changed, and that what gives you a PG rating these days, that you could get away with a lot.
Two main things I want to touch on, or kind of go more in depth about, are the commercial, obviously, the ad in between.
Oh yeah.
And oh my god, I just had it in my mind. Well, let's talk about the commercial first. I'll remember. Oh, the helicopter.
Oh yeah.
So real quick, the helicopter, basically, like this helicopter is just sitting in this bush as Wanda walks outside of her house, I think, to meet up with Catherine Hahn at some point. And it's in color, and obviously the show is in black and white at this point. And it has the same symbol on it as at the end of the first episode when they're pulling out from the TV set. And there's all these computers. There's that same symbol on one of the like monitor type things. It looks like. I don't know if anybody is able to decipher what that is or anything. But I'm assuming it's going to be like something that's recurring.
Sword. Yeah, that's Sword. That's the new Shield.
Okay.
So in the comics, I'm trying to remember this. In the comics, Sword stands for sentient world. Oh God. Sentient world something. I gotta look it up.
Okay. Yeah, so like if as long as I can be enlightened on that, because I definitely don't know what that means.
Yeah, absolutely. But... So basically it's going to for starters, it's going to occupy the space that SHIELD left a vacuum for, basically. What's it called? What?
Sword.
Oh God.
And now, like, is that something that?
Do you ever just like incredibly struggle to figure out a way to Google something?
Yes.
It's like I'm just getting all the wrong results. There we go. Okay.
I would just Google like Sword Marvel.
Yeah, it's so it's sentient. So this is the comics. Sentient World Observation and Response Department.
Okay.
But just like what SHIELD stands for in the MCU is not what SHIELD stands for in the comics.
Okay.
Sword also switched, and it very much suits this episode or this show, and also kind of fits, going forward as well. So the MCU has changed it to Sentient Weapons Observation and Response Division.
Okay.
So same thing, like SHIELD, the D in the comics stands for Directorate, but in the movies it's just Division, because that's just an easier thing for people to say. But yeah, so basically that's going to be the new thing, and through set pictures and stuff, we know that Monica Rambeau, who we are reintroduced to in this episode, since we last saw her as a little girl in Captain Marvel, she is working for Sword. We also know that Jimmy Woo has apparently gotten a promotion and is no longer working with the FBI, but is working with Sword. Because I think Jimmy Woo is the voice we hear, but I also think Jimmy Woo is the one writing the notes at the end of the first episode. And then also, we don't know if she's working with them or works for them, but Darcy Lewis, Kat Dennings, is coming back. We know that she is in this show. It's the first time we've seen Kat Dennings in the MCU since 2013, right? Yeah, Thor: The Dark World. That was the last time we saw her. So Kat Dennings coming back to the MCU after an 8-year absence. Yeah. So that
you
is,
think it's
that's
fair
what the Sword
to
is,
think
basically.
that all of these characters, because like Monica Rambeau, her name is Geraldine. I can't pronounce it.
That's what she refers
show.
to herself.
So do you think it's fair that the only people that have their actual names are Wanda and Vision, and then everybody else is some sort of?
That's why it makes me. That's why it makes me think, that like something's going on, is because it's like we know that her name is not Geraldine, but like she thinks that it's not like at least right now it doesn't appear to me that she's acting. But she thinks that her name is Geraldine. So it's like, it's very confusing. So yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait and see what the hell is going on with that.
Okay, so what was the other thing I said?
The commercial.
The commercial. So after that, I actually want to get into the whole Dottie plotline and that one bizarre scene too. That was like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
So the commercial, I didn't realize that's who the guy was in the commercial. I saw the watch, so I knew like it was something to do with Hydra, but I didn't realize the guy was from, what movie is he from?
What is it?
Forget his name.
You mean the guy in the commercial?
Yeah, they said I thought I saw something that like he was an actual character in a different movie.
Well, the watch, like the Strucker, that's like Baron von Strucker.
Oh, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, but not the actual actor in the commercial.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Strucker, like that's Baron von Strucker, who is, obviously the Struckers are a huge plot in all the seasons of Agents of Shield, with Hydra and everything, obviously, but also in the movies. Baron von Strucker is the guy, with the eye patch, or not the eye patch, the monocle, that actually experimented on Wanda and Pietro and gave them their power. Or I don't think he gave them their powers. I think he unlocked their mutant abilities, which is kind of what I think they're slowly kind of working their way back to kind of re-explain their origin and say, well, he didn't give them the power. The Mind Stone didn't give them their powers. They just unlocked, what was already in there or something like that. But yeah, so that's why. And Strucker is a big, huge name. Not even just Baron von Strucker. Like Strucker is a long lineage of Hydra family. Basically, it's one of the original Hydra families from Agents of Shield.
So do you think that's the commercial is like hinting at it? What do you think it's? Do you think it's hinting at anything?
I think it's just hinting at all of Wanda's origins. Wanda and Vision's origins. I think it's because we also see on the wall of their house as Wanda is going through the dining room. Their house, by the way, which also seems to change every episode.
It does, yeah.
Where when Wanda is going through the dining room and passes a wall, there's a big mural painted on one of the walls of the outpost or castle or factory, whatever you want to call that, from Sokovia, the one that they attack in the very opening of Age of Ultron, where they are. There's a painting of that building, the one that has the defense grid and Tony hits it and goes shit, that building. There's a painting of that building on the wall in Wanda and Vision's house. Yeah, so I think it's like just things that I think it's like the sitcom things that are happening in her head that like she's like, this is the ideal American life. You know what I mean? This is the ideal husband and wife life. But I think she's starting to show, things from her actual life slowly seeping back in. That's why it's like, a man's never fully dressed without his best gal and his Strucker. Yeah. And it's like, but then it's clearly spelled Strucker like Baron von Strucker, and the watch literally says Hydra. With the logo on it. Yeah. Which, you'd think Hydra would maybe be a little bit more, secretive with the watch. But yeah. The commercial is definitely very interesting.
Before we hit Dottie, do you have any, I don't know if it's probably more in the comic books about the beekeeper, what that is?
I don't know anything about that. No. I don't know why. I mean, it's clearly he has a sword emblem on his back.
Yeah.
So it's clearly something like that. Maybe it's like, this is the only thing that I can think. So, right, like all this stuff is happening and Wanda's trying to rationalize it all in her brain. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's, or it could just be Sword doing it. Maybe Sword, he's wearing like a hazmat suit because they're trying to send somebody in and they don't know what the hell it's going to be like in there.
Right. Yeah.
But maybe they made the hazmat suit look like a beekeeper to not mess with
the reality
too much. Or maybe it's Wanda doing it. Maybe he's coming up the grate wearing a hazmat suit, but
we're seeing her perspective.
Yes, we're seeing her perspective that's like, oh, that's just a beekeeper. So that if anybody else saw it, they wouldn't freak out. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like that. That's just what I think. That with
even out of the sewer though, where it's like it looks right, but it's not right because he's coming out of the sewer.
No, exactly. Yeah, it's like is that Pennywise?
That's exactly what I was gonna say. Is I think it's them sending somebody in almost, and she's like, I'm not leaving, and it's her turning back time, doing leaving. Whatever. Exactly.
Pulling a Jordan Belfort.
And that just adds to it, man. When that happened, I was like, what is going on?
Mm-hmm. And speaking of Jordan Belfort, let's talk about the man himself, Drunk Vision. We got Drunk Vision in this episode. for quite a bit actually. So for like a good chunk of the episode, he is just complete for the whole magic act. I loved that whole scene where where like they have this tight, routine set, and he's like, because he's got gum inside of him, so it's like messing up his systems. It's gumming up the works.
Got him.
So he's like just loopy and all over the place. They're supposed to do this like magic show that earlier in the episode he's like, are people gonna believe this? And she's like, yeah, the whole point of a magic show is that the real magic is fake. You know what I mean? Like, but he is drunk, so he's like not keeping to that, so he's using his powers all over the place. Like he just starts flying, and she's like using her powers to kind of fix it, to make people not suspect anything, like to kind of keep that reality intact. Like she adds a rope when he starts to fly. He puts his hat through himself, and then this one kind of doesn't really work. Like with her explanation, she just kind of creates mirrors behind him, and then somebody in the crowd even goes, "Is that how mirrors work?" and then what's her name? Dottie goes like, "Shut up! Like don't worry about it," or something. And then he like lifts the piano. One of the greatest lines of the whole episode. He lifts the piano, and then Wanda makes it turn into like a flat cardboard piece, and then the guy goes, "That was my grandma's piano."
That poor guy, he gets like because he loses his job because Vision gets hired in that guy's place.
Yeah,
for the job, and then his grandma's piano is gone. That part of the episode was really funny. Somebody made like a side by side of when Vision is on the rope of SpongeBob from the SpongeBob movie, when he's just hanging the rope after he's like flying in the end.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god. I don't. Yeah.
All right. Do you want to talk about the Dottie stuff? We haven't really delved into that.
Dottie is like this organizer, I guess, for this
like
charity. Is that what it is?
Quintessential like Stepford Wives. Kind of runs the circle of wives in the town. That kind of thing.
So basically, they're at this meeting at this. I don't even know what it is. Is it by a pool, country club? Like
I think it's whatever. Like her backyard. Oh no, it must be like it must be a country club or something. Because we see Dottie's house, and it's not like anything too special.
Yeah, and so they're all sitting around, and Geraldine is talking to Wanda in this. They're kind of like exchanging conversation while Dottie's talking, and Dottie gets really mad at them. So Dottie already not a fan of Wanda. Especially considering she's like a new member to this entire group.
Yeah.
And I think so. Basically, towards the end of the scene, Wanda tries to make amends with Dottie, and it's like, "Hey, I think we got on the wrong foot." Blah blah. And I forget what Dottie like says to her. And how does she cut her hand? Isn't it like this glass shatters, right?
Yeah, because then the radio goes off, and Dottie basically squeezes the glass. And the radio goes off, and it plays, Rhonda by the Beach Boys, help me Rhonda, but they change it to help me Wanda, and then it cuts when it says Wanda, then it cuts to who we assume is Jimmy Woo, saying, the Wanda, who's doing this to you, Wanda? Like, Wanda, can you hear me? Who's doing this to you? And kind of zooms in on Elizabeth Olsen's face, and she's kind of like
petrified,
and then they kind of snap out of the moment because Dottie breaks the glass in her hand. But then when you look at her hand, it's all a black and white scene, but the blood is colored and it's red.
Yeah. Which again, that was just like really bizarre, I thought. Again, and that's kind of like it happens more than once in the episode where the color is starting to seep in. And at the end of the episode, we'll see where it just all goes color.
Yeah.
It was just another one of those scenes that I just thought, there's probably, I don't know if there's really much there. It's not like, there's nothing like secretive or anything there. I just thought it was really, like another thing that was just like this distant voice causing, and then this glass shatters and this person's hand gets cut open and it's bleeding. Like it just, it was almost like horror-like.
Yeah.
Which again, kind of like, which people are assuming that this is going to lead in somehow to Doctor Strange too.
Yeah, it's exactly what I was.
It's kind of carrying the genre of horror type stuff.
I think we're kind of at the beginning of a little contained trilogy with WandaVision, Multiverse of Madness, and then Spider-Man 3, because they already said all of those are going to link to each other. So I think we're kind of just at the start of kind of that overall tone that will carry through to there.
Yeah. Do you think there's a possibility of getting like a Doctor Strange cameo at the end, like
absolutely.
the end of the series?
I think 100% Doctor Strange is going to be in this show. I have absolutely no doubt of that.
Because even the trailer, you see like there's these portals. It looks like these dimension type things that people are flying in and out of. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, like when she, it looks like maybe Wanda, like maybe even next episode, because it looks like she was wearing kind of like a 70s outfit, which you would assume the next episode would be that one. That it looks like Wanda maybe throws Monica Rambeau out of the reality or something, out of the little Truman Show bubble. So it'll be very interesting to see that and how that kind of links to everything. I think it is going to be one of those things where, SWORD is going to try their best to help her and to get everything under control. I don't think they're going to be able to do it, and I think they're going to have to call in the big guns and call in, Doctor Strange to handle it. And I think Doctor Strange 2 is going to be kind of a babysitting adventure. I think that it's, Wanda's going to have to stay with Doctor Strange for a little bit to be like, listen, you cannot just go like this is like, I think he's going to take her to different multiverses and be like, listen, this is what happens when people like us go completely unchecked. You can't do that. Like you can't do that. So you know what I mean? Like I can't, like you can't happen.
Do we think, I don't know if you would, do you think this is the last time we see Paul Bettany in this show?
Paul Bettany?
Like in the MCU in general?
In WandaVision, you mean not this episode?
No, yeah. No, I meant like after WandaVision, he's not in the MCU anymore.
No, I think they'll find some way. Vision's been rebuilt 1,000 times in the comics.
Again, real quick, the funny thing, somebody pointed out that I think it's in the first episode that she says he has an unbreakable skull.
Or she says my husband and his indestructible head.
Yeah, and then everybody's like, oh.
Yeah. Unless you have big meaty purple fingers.
Yeah. Yeah, I told Danielle though, like I was like, nobody knows when this is taking place. Like this could be. I'm assuming it's after Endgame, but it's again, it's just something that, either she's created or somebody's doing to her where it's this fake euphoria of everything's okay and it's not.
Yeah.
Oh man. I feel like I'm gonna love this show and then like everything else would be like a letdown to me. Because I'll be like, this was like I just love this idea of this weird stuff that I feel like we haven't seen before in the MCU, which again I think Kevin Feige even said this like this is something that you guys haven't done before.
You've never seen before, so let's go ahead and give our final thoughts and our rating on this, and then we actually have a little special treat. We have two viewer submitted little mini reviews, and then actually a little bit of an extra review too from one of them, which we will get to right after this. So I would say final thoughts. As I said, I think this was a bit of a stronger episode and a lot of funnier of an episode than the first one. So I'll go up to like a 4.5 out of 5 for this one. I just thought it was really, really funny. I'm really liking where the show is going. It's very, very exciting. I mean, we have 2 episodes already, and we have 7 weeks left of WandaVision. So that means we will be doing these reviews up until, let's see here. Wow. So we will be doing this up until about March 14th. Oh, 1 year anniversary of COVID closing everything.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'll probably go. I'll up you a little bit. I'll probably go like 4.8.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it was a very good episode.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what else is in store because these 2 episodes were crazy. And if people don't like the episodes, I can understand if it leads, maybe if it's too weird or it's just like it's like it has like those hints of like, I hate to compare it to this, but it has like those hints of like Twin Peaks where it's
Yes, Log
like
Lady.
I think Danielle pointed this out where it was like they're kind of just staring at each other. And
Yeah,
that's like one of those Twin Peaks things where it's like nobody's saying anything or like, it's just that kind of like vibe.
absolutely. That's a very, very great.
So I can imagine they're pulling different stuff from these other shows, but
Yeah.
that's what I got from it.
Absolutely. That is a very great analogy, actually, to
Yeah.
Twin Peaks with kind of the creepiness of it. Okay. So, next up, we are going to go and do some fan reactions or fan reviews. We just got, little blurbs from two of our viewers. And if you guys, on these review episodes of WandaVision, if you guys want to send it into us, tweet them at us. You can tweet them to us at Planet Film Pod. Just make sure it's 280 characters, or do a couple tweets if you can't fit it in there. But tweet at us in the coming weeks whenever you watch WandaVision or anything like that. Tweet at Planet Film Pod and let us know your thoughts, and we will read them out on the air. So here we have Shannon, who has been who has talked in the live chat and stuff. This is she actually did 2 reviews. So she has a review for the first 2 episodes of WandaVision, and then just a little blurb about her thoughts on Legends, that show that they did with like kind of the recap show.
Yeah.
So she says, WandaVision, I think the idea of Wanda and Vision being in an I Dream of Jeannie show is cute, but I wish there was more context to the bigger storyline. I found the first episode to be very boring, but the second one was more entertaining, and I am intrigued by the bigger picture more. I'm looking forward to what happens next overall, but it fell flat, particularly in episode 1. So what
I
are
feel
your
like
thoughts
that's a
on
lot
that?
of people are saying.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people are like, I like it. Like episode 1 didn't really hook me, but if I watch the next episode, that was what kind of
Yeah.
got me.
Which is very interesting. I don't know. I mean, I didn't find. I mean, clearly both of us didn't find that. I mean, we clearly enjoyed both episodes. But yeah, that's a big. You are definitely not alone in that analysis, because that's what a lot of people are thinking as well. And then she just said, with Legends, I think Legends is extremely well produced. The editing for the specific storylines is incredible. As a huge MCU fan, I'm looking forward to more episodes of Legends. Yeah, I would absolutely agree. I think the editing on those is amazing. I think to basically condense, for both of these characters, the first 2 episodes were for Wanda and for Vision. To basically condense, 7 movies worth of character arc into about 7 minutes for each of them, and really kind of get anyone who would have no idea what any of these characters are about would know everything after those 2 episodes. They were very, very well put together. So yeah, I'm very much excited and looking forward to more episodes of Legends as well. You'd have to imagine probably the next ones will be Bucky and Sam for when Falcon and Winter Soldier comes out. All right. So next up, we have a review from Danielle, friend of the show, who was on last week's episode of Planet Film. She popped in. She said, I was surprised that it was like an actual sitcom, but I think that's why I liked it so much. With the subtle parts that are weird and like Twilight Zone-y, hinting that they're currently under surveillance or something. But I'm also a sucker for those older shows like I Love Lucy and Bewitched. Lucille Ball is one of my comedic icons, so I'm curious to see if the next decade or however they do it. I also love that 70s show, so seeing Deborah Jo Rupp is always a plus. Absolutely, yeah. She is very, very funny in she's in actually both episodes. She appears she's in the audience of the magic show in the second episode, and then obviously she plays Mrs. Hart in the second episode. So what are your thoughts on that review and everything like that?
Yeah, I totally agree with her. I thought Deborah Jo Rupp was very funny. And that's another thing. Like, I can't wait to see like how it kind of evolves with the different sitcom decades. I'm very interested to see how they just kind of progress.
Yeah.
Because there is I feel like there is like a a difference between the 50s and 60s episode, which we're assuming I think we can assume that's what that gap, like episode 1 and 2.
Oh yeah,
that episode
definitely.
1 is 50s, episode 2 is 60s.
Yeah, definitely.
And obviously the whole color thing that's kind of going into it, because as they go along and was there a live audience in the second one? I don't remember.
I think only in the first one.
Only in the first one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the first one was the one it was all on sets. And then in the second episode was when we went outside.
Okay.
And did
Gotcha.
stuff like that.
Right.
What's it called? So last question I'll throw to you. This is my theory for the sitcom aspect of this. I think the sitcom aspect will be done by like episode 6. And then I think episode 7 and 8 will be, because Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen have both said, in interviews, the last few episodes will have, some of the best battles in the MCU. So I think it's going to be that she's going to come out of the reality or something like that around the end of episode 6 maybe, and then the end of episode like 7. And then I think, episode 8 and episode 9 will be, will be more like MCU, set in the real world. Got to actually fight the bad guy now, that kind of thing. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that sounds right, or do you think it might be different?
No, I could see them doing that. It's just like so much, like.
Oh yeah.
I think maybe like that. I think there's like a shot of Vision walking down the street, and he's kind of like looking around.
Yeah.
I think that might be him in
the
actual real world.
Yeah.
So whatever that Halloween episode is, so maybe assume that that's like episode 7 in that area, kind of what you're predicting. But I don't know if I think we'll get like a bad guy. But I don't think it'll be the overarching bad guy.
Oh, okay. Do you think
I think maybe it'll lead into something bigger, how it always does, basically.
Do you think it'll be do you think the main villain for this show will be Catherine Hahn?
I don't know. I don't know. She's in it a lot.
Yeah.
She's in the 2 episodes so far a lot where because we haven't seen her none of them have questioned anything except for Vision and Wanda, I feel like.
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe, I don't know. Do you know, because who was that villain you mentioned? I don't know who that is.
Mephisto. Yeah,
I don't know who that is.
Who is a big Doctor Strange villain in the comics.
Okay.
So if anything, I think maybe Catherine Hahn is working for Mephisto, or maybe she's a version of Mephisto that they beat in WandaVision, and then maybe Doctor Strange 2, they have to take on Mephisto himself. Maybe that kind of a thing.
What about odds that this is a very big jump? I always forget his name. Chiwetel Ejiofor. Odds he's at the end of this road somehow, maybe. Maybe is he in Doctor Strange too? Is he casted?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe he's working with Mephisto or for Mephisto.
Because again, I think I don't remember when I said this last, but we have not seen him since the end of Doctor Strange 1, right?
Yeah, no.
He's been gone since then, and that's how many years.
Too many sorcerers.
Exactly.
That was the last thing we saw.
So maybe he's in this somehow. I don't know how, but I think that'd be really cool. I love the fact that this is again, it's not horror, but it's bleeding horror things are bleeding into the show. And again, that, like you said, it's setting up the tone for Doctor Strange 2 almost, which this basically leads into.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like you said, I think that's a very good assumption that maybe it's this babysitting, Doctor Strange 2 is this babysitting type.
Yeah.
Movie.
Perfect. Well, yeah, let's go ahead and wrap it up then. Everybody, if you have theories or anything like that, tweet at us as well. We want to hear all your WandaVision thoughts. So let us know what you think. Tweet at us at Planet Film Pod, and let us know what your thoughts are on that. I think that will do it for episode 3, official episode 3 of Planet Hero. Again, as always, I am Sean Monk. My Twitter handle is right there at Pace Eating Yak.
And I'm TJ Cornwall. And real quick, sorry, we actually just made a TikTok.
Oh yes,
So
yes.
we would be. I don't know how much I'm gonna be able to post on it. Actually, kind of enjoy making the videos as much as I hate to admit it. So we'll be posting like
He's a
our most
TikTok
recent
fiend.
movies. Yeah, our most recent movies watched, stuff like that. I did one
yeah.
where Sean's books, the most recent Star Wars books he's read, and basically his rating of those. So it's Planet Film
Yeah.
Pod on TikTok. If you go,
Yeah.
like, follow, comment, whatever you want to do,
And the
and
TikToks will
then
probably will probably get reposted to our Instagram Reels, I'd probably
yeah,
say. But the main thing is the Instagram Reels. I think Twitter got rid of fleets. But maybe we'll just tweet
good.
out. Yeah, good. Maybe we'll just tweet out the video of our TikToks as well. For because I know some people don't. Some of our audience, they just don't have TikTok, or maybe they don't like
Yeah.
TikTok or something. But the TikToks will be the main way, other than if you just subscribe to our letterbox, which is also always, it's on the main page of our YouTube channel. Just go to our All My Links page, and both of our letterbox are there to keep track of all the films that we've been watching. But the TikToks will be our main kind of way of letting you guys know what we're watching, what our thoughts are on things. Like TJ had some really great movies in his, and it was what was it, 4 movies or 5 movies you did?
4.
4 movies, and it's those are 4 pretty popular movies. And if you want to know our thoughts on them, you can go over to the TikTok page. We'll probably repost them, as I said, on the Instagram Reels. It's just a good way to let you guys know. Basically what our thoughts are on them without having to dedicate an entire show. We can kind of get the information out to you much quicker. And it's kind of a fun visual medium to make them. Like TJ said, he enjoys making the videos. I think he's going to teach me how to make them, or I'll learn how to make them too.
One thing I will
he's
say
made the
about it
first
is TikTok is like there's like no there's like an interface, but it's not as in depth as I thought it was going to be. So
do you do it on like a third party app?
Yeah,
or in TikTok? Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, we'll probably do more of those coming your way pretty soon. But yeah, other than that, thank you guys so much for joining us. As always, remember, share this video, like this video, and if you are watching this video and you are not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. We are going to be doing these reviews every week. We are going to try to do these reviews every single week. And yeah, so with that, thank you guys so much for tuning in with us. Thanks for watching us with this, kind of semi-live, live on tape with this premiere episode here. So other than that, I hope you guys have a great day, and have a good one.
Boom, Go Bills.
Boom. Go Bills. Tune in Tuesday for Bills Talk. Planet Sports.